Hey everyone, it's Robert Fischer with the RJF team with Keller Williams Realty. Today I wanted to talk about two questions we hear all the time. If I sell my house, where would I go? And should I buy a home right now if interest rates have gone up? And so I think these are great questions. I don't think there's a one size fits all answer. And so I'd like to kind of go through that and just kind of talk about each of these and kind of give some perspective. But then you really want to look at the big picture. So we'll go through that. So if I sell now, where would I go? Right now, we're in the Central Texas, Austin, Round Rock, Cedar Park area, and there's been a lot going on over the last 2 years, and no one knows how quickly things are moving. We get to see the micro data that shows like, oh, showings went from this on a house down to this or whatever. Well, for the seller that doesn't know where they're going to go, the great news is there's actually a lot more inventory out there. It wasn't that long ago that we actually had like 3, 4, 5 days of inventory in some of the different cities in Central Texas. And it was crazy. It was multiple offers. It was going over list price. It was, FHA and VA buyers were having issues getting in, and it was a tough market. Well, I heard an economist say that people say, well, is the market bad now? Well, the market isn't bad. It's plateaued, which is actually healthy for the market, is what he was saying. And so I thought that was a really good analogy. And there is a lot more inventory on the market. We even have builders coming to us now, and they're offering buyer incentives, and they're kind of getting back to that again to kind of pull people in. And again, a lot more inventory. So if the worry was, I don't know if I could find a home, you're good there. Like you can definitely find a home now. It's out there. Some of the other questions people ask is, okay, well, I'll sell it, but can I do a contingency offer, meaning like I'll buy your home if I sell my home? And because have gone away the last couple of years, and actually some of those have come back. And again, certain areas there are a couple pockets out there of either homes in a certain price range, homes that are underpriced, or some of the homes that just have everything kind of in this certain neighborhood that are very sought after. Some of those will get a little crazy from time to time, but most of the time there might be an opportunity in some of these other locations where people can get in, not have to compete, and lock in their home. So whether you do that, whether we help you come up with a program where you can buy a home before you sell your home, there's all those things that are out there of making sure your home is sold ahead of time or whatever. There's a lot of gimmicks out there, but then there's a lot of truth to what really works and what doesn't. So talk to us about whether we can sell our home and where we would go and what are the options to make sure that we can bridge the gap. We can help you with all of those. The second question I would say that people are asking is, should I buy a home now? Interest rates are higher. And so again, that's a big question. And I always talk to people about this too. If I want you to think about this from a financial advisor perspective. Let's say go to the stock market. Most financial advisors, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I'll say that, will come to you and say, you can't time the market. Nobody can time the market. And what it is if you're consistent over time, you will net the most money by the time you get to retirement. But you have to be consistent. Don't worry about timing the market. And if you can afford this and make this move now, this is what you do. So if you take your financial plan, which your financial advisor may or may not say, and then you take your family plan, your family goals, and your family dreams, and you kind of tie all those in together, it's easier than you think to come up with a plan. Again, we talk with people every day, and I bet you if I were to talk to 10 people over the last couple of weeks about their plan, 7 of them might say, yes, this is what we want to do. It totally makes sense because this is what our plan is going on, and this is what really works best for our family. And then 3 might say, you know what, this life change hasn't happened, or it's going to happen at this time. We'll do that at this time. So here's what I mean. A lot of real estate happens when there's life change out there. And so if someone is graduating, if someone is retiring, if you had a new baby, if you have a family member moving into the house, if a lot of people are doing it for convenience sake, which makes sense with gas prices and everything. People are looking up and going, I know I can work from home a lot, but when I do drive in, I don't want to drive an hour anymore. And so I want to be closer to work. I want to be closer to school. I want to be closer to church, whatever that is. We have a lot of those people that are looking at that whole picture. And so you're going to want to make sure you're looking at that as well. And then what I tend to see with people who are considering buying a home, even as interest rates happen, because what happens right now in the industry is when interest rates go up, things pause a little bit. That's actually what our government wanted to happen, because if you think about what's going on with some of the hyperinflation and all that, and and lack of inventory and what that is, like this couldn't go on forever everywhere, right? And so the slowing down of it and kind of normalizing it, a lot of them are saying, it's good, this is what we want to happen. And so, but when interest rates go up, which is what people are wanting, there's a pause in the markets. So now there's this opportunity in the market where people can go out and say, okay, well, I don't have to compete. And so because I don't have to compete, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get the home that we were going to end up getting anyways, and making sure that we're locking in our family dreams and family goals. And so if you're in that situation, again, talk through it. But if it's one of those that we're going to end up doing this in the next 1 or 2 years anyways, a lot of the people that we talk to, they're looking up and going, you know what, you're right, we can't time the market. And if you're waiting again for interest rates to go down, prices may go up. If you're waiting for prices to go down, interest rates may go up, or both may happen, right? And there's one other thing I've heard people talk about. I heard a good friend of mine talk about this the other day, and we were kind of going back and forth, and there's a little bit of a myth out there about like renting feels more safe than buying. And sometimes that could be the case. Where that can be the case, in my opinion, is if you're not very stable in your job, if for some reason they might be having layoffs or whatever might happen, or if you feel like you won't be here very long, you might have to move to somewhere else. Like those are times, in my opinion, where renting makes sense. Because you wouldn't want to have to do a short-term buy and then move 6 months later, right? That's going to be hard to do. Though it's worked out, but it's not recommended. But most of the time, what people don't realize is why home ownership makes more sense. A lot of the times for people who feel like they're more stable in their job and movement and all that kind of stuff, think about this. You are locking in an interest rate, and theoretically, hopefully you're doing that over a 30-year period, not a short-term ARM or anything like that, and you are fixing your rental expense for the most part for 30 years. And no, you are going to have to worry about, do property taxes go up? And they will. And does insurance go up and what that looks like? But normally in a lot of states, if it's your homestead, they will cap you at how much that can go up per year as well. And you're in control, right? If you look at our rental market in the Austin area now, it's already gone up probably 30%. They're probably going to see it again because right now investors are getting hit with huge tax bills and they have to kind of cover that difference. And so you have no control over that. And the other thing people don't really look at is on the rental side. Let's say you're spending $30,000 a year on renting. That money, I'm not a CPA, I gotta always say this, generally that money you can't deduct from your taxes or do any of that. When you buy a home, there's some tax deductions you can take on both principal, on interest and things there. There's you can do it on some of the taxes as well, and based on what your CPA will say, you'll kind of be able to have a plan. And oh, by the way, you're paying down the principal while your property value is going up. And I heard a very wise man once say, he's one of the top people kind of in the real estate community, and he just says, if you were to look at any piece of real estate and you were to go back 10 years, almost every single time, not always, but almost every single time, it is worth more, and probably a lot more. And if you're going to hold it for at least that amount of time, it's going to be an amazing investment. And oh, by the way, here's the write-offs that you had, here's the security that you had, here's the stability that you had. And so keep that in mind as you're looking at everything. It is not a one-size-fits-all. I do not think everyone should go out and be buying or whatever. If you're stable, if you can afford it, and it's part of your family and financial plan, it will bless you more than you know. There was this article that came out that I read the other day, and it showed that the average net wealth of a homeowner versus someone who doesn't own a home, and it was a $200,000 difference. And a lot of it talks to forced savings when you buy a home. And so when you look up 10 years, 20 years later, and you have this home that was a blessing to your family was also an asset to your family all in one. And so just know that as you're looking at the big picture, if you just want to talk through it and say, here's what we're doing, does now make sense? And again, we spoke to 10 people over the last 2 weeks. I was able to talk to them and say, this is what it looks like. 3 of them, it didn't make sense. We're the first ones to give them a high five and say, we totally understand. We're here. We support you. If anything changes, let us know. But we're always here to help. 7 of them were like, it absolutely makes sense. This is what we need to do. We got a couple of them under contract this week, and they're so excited for their family and kind of making their plans. So let us be a resource. Let us help you. We're here to serve. We appreciate y'all. Thank you.